You know, most people think healing starts in therapy, but mine started with my birth charts. This was the day that I learned and found out about my moon sign. And my moon is in Aries. If you know anything about Aries, straight fire, okay? Once I learned my moon sign, my life changed completely. I realized that I wasn't dealing with just a father wound. That's when I learned that I actually also had a very deep mother wound. Welcome to my channel. My name is Marielle and I'm a spiritual life coach. I help people release their karmic patterns, heal their trauma, and connect to their higher self. I hope you have your beverage with you. I'm drinking a little wine today. I usually have tea, but it's Mother's Day, so I'm treating myself today with a little bit of wine. So make sure you get your beverage. We're just gonna do a little chat and talk about inner child wounds and how you get connected back to yourself. I grew up thinking that I had the most perfect life. Like, I had a very stable home. My parents gave us pretty much everything that we needed and really what we wanted. Maybe not too much of what we wanted. My mom is not big on spoiling, but she's big. My mom is a Virgo, so she's big on making sure you have what you need. But yeah, we grew up in a stable home, but I learned that stability is not the same as emotional security. And y'all, when I learned my moon sign, all I could do was cry. All I could do was break down and cry because I realized that everything that I've been looking for as an adult, in relationships, in friendships, in a dog, a cat, a bird, I was looking for emotional security everywhere. And when I started healing and learning my chart and learning my moon chart, that's when I realized that, like, damn, I've never I don't even know what it feels like. I know what it feels like now because I give it to myself. But up until I started healing, I didn't even know what it felt like to actually be secured emotionally. It was very interesting growing up because my household, like, we didn't hug, we didn't say I love you, like, nobody apologized, nobody was accountable, like, there was just no type of nada. I've never seen any type of emotional security growing up, nowhere. Maybe with some uncles or something where I seen how they treated their wives, maybe with that, but in my household, nah. It never happened. It was my moon sign that showed me everything that I've been missing, and it literally cracked me wide open. Like, it made me look at life absolutely so differently. It made me actually start understanding the things that I lack within myself. Like, what the hell? What the hell on? Like, I didn't understand. Like, I always thought because my father was distant, even though my father raised us, we grew up in the same household. Both of my parents are married. He'd been married for 45 plus years. But my father was so distant, so I always thought that I had a father wound only to realize that my mom was so emotionally, like, empty that there's no possible way. And not only that, my mom have a lot of earth placements in her chart. So, and my dad is an earth placement too, y'all. My dad's a Capricorn and my mother is a Virgo. Y'all, I didn't have a chance. I didn't have a chance, y'all, because I'm a Scorpio with the moon in Aries and a rising in Aquarius. Baby, I am here to do what I want to do. And you as a parent, you just here to just, like, applaud me and let me do me. Because if you don't, I might burn this shit down to the ground. I'm just saying. Like on this Mother's Day, I'm not mourning. I'm not mourning. I'm not being sad. You know, I'm remothering myself. I'm I'm doing all the things that I've noticed that my mother didn't receive because I was becoming my mom. Growing up, you know, I was watching a clip of Michelle Obama on her podcast yesterday, and her brother was talking about stories about their mother and how their mother was, you know, very selfless, and she, you know, spent time doing things for everybody else, and she never spent, you know, she never spent money on herself. She never got herself anything. So on Mother's Day and her birthday, their father would, you know, go and buy her like outfits, or Michelle even said wardrobe sometimes, like just a whole bunch of, you know, things to make her feel good about herself. And that, y'all, I started crying watching that because it made me realize how my mother does not know what that feels like. I grew up in a household where my mother was not celebrated. And y'all, when I tell you my mom is an amazing woman, like she will do anything for anybody. Like if you know a Virgo is going to do. They're going to do what needs to be done to get shit done. That's just how they are. And my mom is an amazing woman. Like she don't spend money on herself. She literally takes care of everybody, like community, like family, everyone. But she never spent time on herself. And I always wanted to see my dad do something for her. Like being I always craved just watching him appreciate her, and I never seen it. And that made me angry. As I got older, that made me look at men very differently. That made me look at men, I judged men because of that, because I also started noticing in the world that a lot of men really don't appreciate their women, you know, and that made me attract men that also didn't appreciate me, you know, because we attract our wounds, we attract what our inner child wounds are. So all of those things is what truly pushed me into figuring out what the is wrong with me. And what can I do to fix it so I do not turn out to be a person who's doing everything for everyone, but lacking self-worth and self-love and boundaries and the ability to be able to speak up and actually say no or ask for help, you know, and receive the help. Like I still struggle with that. I still struggle with being able to receive help, because if you grew up in an environment where you've seen your mother do everything, and that transfers off to you. Like when I look at my relationship, it was very hard for me to allow somebody to do something for me. When I tell you my mother raised me to be masculine, and not only that, it don't make it any better that I have my top 3 placements are masculine energies. So y'all, when I said I've been having to do some deep healing, literally to be able to remember my feminine energy back, because I have natural masculine energies, Scorpio, Aries, and Aquarius. And then I was raised with a mother that literally put me in a position to be the best man on the planet. Like, I mean, like literally, I was outworking men that I was with. I know men that I was with was probably intimidated by my ambition, because I was raised to be that, you know, instead of being raised to be soft and to receive and to be a woman and to be feminine and to be just beautiful and to make the room, you know, using my energy and not my coreness, you know, to be able to show strength. That's not feminine, you know. And once I started learning that, oh baby, the healing got deep. Okay, it got deep. And I remember telling my ex-fiance when we got 6 months in our relationship, like all I remember I kept saying is, I will not be Helen. I will not be Helen. I will not be my mom. I kept telling him that, because I started realizing 3 months in our relationship that I was becoming my mom. Like I was literally doing everything. I was doing everything that really man's supposed to do in their relationships. you know. And when you do that as a woman, you lose yourself. You lose the feminine part of you. And I was literally losing the feminine part of me. And I remember telling my ex, like, I'm not gonna be Helen, I'm not gonna be Helen. And then, months down the line, a year or like a month or a year later, I remember one day it dawned to me that he was literally my mother and my dad in one body. Like, I was about to marry the two people that I'm doing the deepest healing from. Like, and I love my parents, but just because our parents did the best they could doesn't mean that they did what your soul needed to be done in order for you to develop and be the best human being you can possibly be, you know? And it's like, man, it's like that moon sign, y'all. Baby, learning my moon sign absolutely changed my life, because that's when I realized that the relationship that I was in was not the relationship for me, because I cannot be with somebody that is triggering the wounds that I have within myself that's coming from my mother and my father's side. Both. Baby, no. I had to end it, and it was the most traumatic experience of my life. But I needed that. I needed that because I broke a cycle. I broke a karmic cycle. A lot of people, my families, have not been able to divorce, let go of relationships. They get stuck in the loops. And that's where being a cycle breaker comes in at. That's where being chosen comes in at. Some of us are born in families to break all the system and all this culture bullshit that they've been allowing for years and centuries, and no, that shit stops with us. It stops with me. And it did stop with me, and I'm so proud of myself for being able to be in the space where I can say that right now. Because not too many people in my family can say that. They can't say that they chose themselves. They can't say that they chose themselves over a love that's not fulfilling. Like, I'm so proud of myself during this Mother's Day, because I feel like I did an amazing job mothering myself this past few years, making sure that I'm back whole, making sure my nervous system is back healed, remembering back my feminine energy, because I'm a very feminine woman. But the wounds, the condition, the environments that we grow up in shape us into these masculine energies, and then we get into these relationships and we hardcore, we hard body, but that's not who we are. That's just wounds. That's the pain. That's the inner child wounds. That's because of the things that we did not receive growing up. And it's like, once I learned my moon sign, y'all, it absolutely shifted my life. And that's how I even started inner journey guidance. That's how I began this journey. That's how I created this space for men and women to be able to heal their inner child wounds, remember themselves, and remember who the fuck they are. That was the whole reason. Like, everything we go through, y'all, is literally designed to make us stronger and to push us closer to our purpose. As long as you pay attention to the lesson and actually learn the lesson, your purpose is literally a step away. And ever since I started healing, ever since I started reparenting myself and giving myself the love and the affection and the emotional security and the validation that I've been craving my whole entire life, y'all, my life has absolutely begun to change in the most dramatic ways ever. And I encourage anyone who's dealing with this type of wound to remember that you're not alone. A lot of us have these wounds, and it's just that a lot of people don't talk about it. I grew up in an environment where my dad is a pastor. I'm locally community, known. So it's hard to talk about these things because people don't want to be judged. But these things need to be talked about. Like, a lot of our parents did the best they could, but we have wounds between all doing the best you could. And we have to heal these wounds. And it starts with acknowledging what happened to you, acknowledging what you did not receive, acknowledging that, yes, you might have had great stability, but you didn't receive the emotional security that you needed as a soul in order to grow and become the best person that you can be, because every child is different. Some child might need stability, another child might need emotional, validation, another child might need gifts. Like, every child is different, and as a parent, it's our job to learn our child. And what best way to learn your child? By learning them using their own journey, literally guide, their own compass, their own birth chart. I truly encourage everyone to learn your chart. Learn your moon sign, learn your Mercury, learn how you communicate, learn your love languages. Because when you learn yourself, when you understand who you are, nobody can manipulate you. I've been manipulated in so many relationships because I didn't know who I am. I didn't know my values. I didn't know what I stood for. All I knew was the wounds that I carried, being a people pleaser and just letting people freaking walk all over me. Like, nah. That moon sign changed everything. That Aries energy, baby, it's out. And when you first start healing, it's wild. But that's the whole point. It's all about balance. It's learning how to balance all of these energies that we hold within ourselves, because you're not just one sign. You're 12. You're 13 of them. You got all of them in you. And it's your job to learn where they're at in your chart, or like, book me and I got you. Book a reading chart with me, and I'll break that down for you and be able to show you exactly what your soul is here to learn, the lessons, the contracts that you have with your families, with your relationship, with your friendships, with your job. Like, everything that you need to know about yourself as a soul is in your birth chart. And this is why I love what I do. This is why I created this space. This is why I created this energy, to be able to push it into the universe so people can start talking about this type of stuff, so people can start healing and actually getting to the bottom of the root of the issue. Because a lot of things that we go through, y'all, it's not even this lifetime. It's energetic. It's past lives. It's our ancestors stuff, And how can you know that if you don't dig within? If you don't go into your subconscious, if you don't isolate and go into hermit mode and actually learn yourself, love yourself using astrology. But y'all, this was just a little video of me coming back on here just to talk about what's been going on, what I've been doing. I've been doing some heavy healing, trying to get this space started so I can be able to walk in my purpose and actually help people heal their inner child wounds, remember who they are, release these karmic patterns, and walk in their purpose. Because life is so beautiful when you're walking in your purpose. Life is so different. The perspective of life is absolutely different when you start walking in your purpose and start following what your heart desires. And I just want to remind anyone that's also mothering themselves, you're not alone. This space was created for you. And if this resonates, make sure you follow me, comment, tell me what you think, tell me your thoughts. Let me know what you're doing for Mother's Day. And I'll catch you guys back on the next video. I will try to do at least a video a week and just talk about, all type of things. I created this channel to talk about all type of things. Anything spiritual, high consciousness, religion, spirituality, everything. But the base of it all is about healing. It's about understanding what happened to us and why we're trapped in this loop, and it's time to get free. It's time to get free, y'all. But thank you guys so much for sharing this space with me. If you join me, I truly appreciate you. Make sure you guys are following me on Instagram. It's under Inner Journey Guidance. I'm on Facebook and TikTok. So I appreciate the space and the time that you guys share with me. And I will catch you guys back on the next video. And just remember to love yourself and, you know, heal yourself using astrology. It's going to change your life.